everyone, this is Darius Lewis. We're here, the host of Startup. Today we're with Z, entrepreneur, musical legend. How's your day going so far?
Baruch Hashem, how's yours, man?
Blessed. I woke up. For those who know Z, who are you and what do you do?
Man, just a human being born on Earth. Been here since 1984, born and raised over north. You know, where we are now. Fortunate to be doing this from my father's office and in a building that my uncle built, which is very, two big pillars for the community. And so I'm just obviously honored to live a life of which I guess I'm sort of the continuation of that. Heavy bar, a lot of responsibility. Background-wise, again, born and raised over north, went to Willard, went to North Star, went to Franklin, eventually ended up going to De La Salle, got a scholarship to the University of North Dakota, played football there, traveled around for a little bit, played ball for a little bit, went back to law school and business school, then came and worked for THOR Construction, which, like I said, kind of built this building and then started up a gaming initiative and worked on that. Last couple of years I've been living in Israel. And now I'm back in the States to, check the temperature.
I like that. And talk about the lineage. You said this is a place that your family built. Talk about a little bit about THOR Construction.
I'm Richard Copeland, the founder. This is called the RAC, the Regional Accelerator Center, but those are also initials for his name, RAC, Richard Allen Copeland. That's definitely been my OG and mentor and definitely sort of took over on the raising me, I suppose, at a certain part. The office we're specifically in is my father's, Alfred Babington Johnson. He's been a social entrepreneur in the community, stalwart, a man of faith, a man of action, my whole life. At one point we owned a Dairy Queen on Broadway, a Tires Plus, and a manufacturing plant in this area, which was actually formerly one of the offices that RC was using. So it's always been they've always worked very closely together in terms of, whether it's the creating of the National Association of Minority Contractors or different powerful initiatives, just always a service and mindset of giving back. And so, I guess that's the legacy or the responsibility that one's born into. And so, you're expected to try to carry your weight,
I like that. Now, you say you're in music. Talk a little bit about your music. I've been following you on Instagram and also YouTube, and I've liked the message. So what made you take a jump to go to Israel? From North Minneapolis to Israel is quite the leap.
I mean, North Minneapolis is an old Jewish community, so it's not really such a big leap. There's footprints and traces there. Definitely there's a belief that many from the transatlantic slave trade are descendants of the children of Israel, but it's not based upon necessarily a color thing, but based upon the spark of your soul, what's inside you, what I'm saying? So I felt that draw and that pull. And if you follow God, you for sure never get lost. You may feel like you're lost, but He's always with you. He's always guiding you. And so that's where He led me, and God will never lead you somewhere where He won't make provisions for you. So ever since, I've really taken that journey of faith. He's constantly, provided me provisions that have just made it hard to ever turn back. You have moments where you feel like, oh, why did I do this, or what I'm doing way over here? I don't see any people I grew up with over here. I don't see anybody I grew up with doing this. But then it's like at the end of the day, if the genuine sentiments of your heart are to connect to God, it always pays big dividends,
I like that. And how long have you been over there in Israel?
I've been a citizen since 2019, January. I've been living there since 2018, November.
Wow, that's crazy. I like that. I have been out international. And what other places have you traveled?
I mean, since I moved there, I've been to a lot of places. I've never been to China, Ukraine, Toronto, Turkey. Prior to that, I guess I hit a lot of spots, Jamaica, Ghana, Nigeria, all throughout the Americas, Mexico City, things of that nature, but definitely just getting started, so.
For a person that wants to follow in your steps and traveling and exploring, even finding God, what are some advice you would give to someone?
I would say just start by trying to talk to Him, Like the whole sentiments of a relationship with God is it's a relationship. It's one in which, you can talk to Him regularly. Like the moment you're going to call somebody you want to talk to Him, just try to call God first and talk to Him. And in doing so, he's gonna talk back to you. You might not hear some loud voice. It might be a quiet voice in your head. It might be how all the traffic lights turn green or how they turn red and you gotta stop and wait. But whatever it is, that's God speaking to you. So the more that you acknowledge Him, the louder the voice gets. And so, that's really the journey. There's no person that's got the magic answer. There's no person that can do all the work for you. and if so, it would be unfulfilling. They talk about there's a moment where the children of Israel are traveling through the midbar, through the desert, and God says, hey, I'm going to provide you manna from heaven to feed you. You're not even going to worry about what you got to eat. You're going to walk out every day. It's a bowl of ramen noodles out there sitting waiting for you, 3 containers for you and your wife and your one child, or whatever the case may be. And so each day they showed up and the ramen noodle was there, the manna was there, boom. And then Friday they show up, getting ready for the Sabbath, and there's double portions of the ramen noodles. And they're like, yo, what is this? So they pull up on Moses like, Moses, yo, did you know they were sending twice as much shipments today? And he's like, yeah, but God told me not to tell you. And they're like, why? He's like, because the experience that you'll feel when you get to have that moment yourself is far more powerful than me telling you what's coming and then you experiencing it. So I think that's a sort of the dichotomy of dealing with God. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels so much better when you experience it yourself.
Mm-hmm. And what was one of your turning points, a wake-up call?
It was definitely a moment when I was a young guy and I just felt like certain things didn't add up in my environmental space. And as times continued on, that was like a reoccurring theme of just being like, for example, I was like, how could someone have background information on the Bible? Like, I've only heard of the Bible. I've only heard of the Bible. Are we saying there's other books out there? Where could somebody get background information on the Bible? That was kind of the reoccurring theme. And then eventually I found out like, oh, there's way more going on than the 7-time translated, washed down version that's known as the King James Bible or whatever, And so I was like, oh, well, again, that's not a blame, that's not a who did what, but it's like, oh, I'll need that book. What is that book called? Or where are those books? Or how do I find that? And then as you start digging into it, you start seeing like, there's the Ivrit, there's the Onkelos, there's the Rashi script. You can't even read the Rashi script if you can't read the Hebrew that's in a different language. The Onkelos is in Aramaic. So if you're trying to tell me you translated the Hebrew even, there's no way you got the full message if you didn't also do the Aramaic and also do the Rashi script. So if you translated the translation of a translation of a translation and you never even got the full piece, then for sure you got finessed. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And so going forward, what's the next 5 years look like for you in business, spirituality? What's your mission? What's your goal?
Right now we're putting together some things, You say you gotta walk before you talk, Not so much I could reveal, but definitely working on some things to try to provide a greater platform for individuals to maximize their opportunities and their successes. I think there is some basic insights that in this time, the nano influencer, micro influencer, macro influencer, social media revolution is a massive world, a massive opportunity. The social world is in itself its own galaxy in which you can have an identity there that doesn't even match your real life identity, but that social media identity could create a real life opportunity for you in the real world to advance yourself and your status. So we're definitely doing some things that kind of intertwine with that. But for sure, first and foremost, there's a spiritual responsibility of continuing to develop, continuing to grow, and continue to give over what one has gained. You know what I mean? If you go in the crib and you get a bunch of food and you come outside, everyone's like, hey, what you got? Like, share with us, you know what I'm saying? And so that's the responsibility of a spiritual journey, is to try to get and to give over, and also in trying to give over, living in a way that emphasizes and re-emphasizes the fact that you are holding in a certain space, right? Like, you don't want to go to the guy that's consulting the don't drink anymore class and he got a fifth in his hand. You're like, this is the non-drinking instructor that's drinking. Right? And we've had a lot of that in our time in our civilization. So for sure for me, and in a more tangible standpoint, by God's grace, it's, starting a family, settling down with a wife, making some young, unruly, righteous little beings to come down here and create even more chaos and havoc that I could say, oh man, yeah, you got to forgive him, he's 3, and really just hopefully also spend the rest of my life trying to atone and make amends for the ways that I feel like I've made errors in the first phase of my life, and with the people and the relationships that I feel like I didn't handle properly, the situations I didn't handle properly. It's very much my intent to try to see if I can't address and touch all of those before I go, and try to make them whole.
I like that. And so what are some of the tangible things you're doing in the next 90 days to perpetuate what you just said?
So one is just waking up every day, prayer, study, learning each night. We got a learning group, you know what I'm saying? There's different documents that I read each day. Igris or Rambam, Letters for the Ages, Mesias Yesharim with Pathways of the Righteous, You know, obviously reading through the Torah, reading through the Mishnah, reading through the Gemara, which is different ancient contexts and conversations around the Torah, the oral Torah and the written Torah, which is something that a lot of people aren't exposed to, that the Torah, when they talk about the Bible, Moshe Rabbeinu, you can also call the physical Bible to be like his written notes, right? But if you have written notes and you give a speech, you of course are saying more than you're able to give detail in a different way. And so that ends up being what people are missing. So there's non-context that people don't have for the what to do or the how to do, because they're just reading the notes, but they don't have the speech that came with the notes that puts it all together. So, you know, just continue to do on that. And then of course, you know, the grind don't stop, NFL, no free lunches, never forget loyalty, Northside for life, legends only, you know what I mean? Give me 1 second, un segundo. Of course, this will be the call. I tried to wait till after the...
Hi, I'm Denarius Lewis, the CEO of Optimum Outreach. Optimum Outreach is a telecom brokerage where we assist businesses with their phone, TV, internet, and wireless services. We understand how frustrating it can be for business owners and IT professionals to discuss their needs with salespeople. Optimum Outreach offers an unbiased menu of options based on our clients' needs and locations with highlighted recommendations from experts. We work with businesses across the nation who find us organically on our website or are referred to us through our ambassador program, where we empower folks with tools and resources to create their own businesses. Optimum Outreach, working together to win together. So what was that all about?
Man, got that young, fresh purple sea moss, you know what I'm saying, from my guy, Asa Huff Jones. Several things. One, you got to really try to support those. You know, you build community by spending money with your people. So my guy Asa, I grew up with him since I was a young guy. I mean, we're kids, we were the same age, you know what I'm saying? And he's been on this health tip. A lot of people have been more informed on health. Dr. Sebi, holistic operations of the body, alkaline diet, things of that nature. Corona has made people more conscious, but sea moss is something that has properties from an antioxidant perspective, from a circulation perspective, from an immunity booster perspective and the likes. And once I started taking it, you know what I'm saying, I definitely saw the benefits. And I came back to the crib and I'm like, yo, I got to re-up, but why would I re-up with Amazon when I could go spend money with my guy, you know what I'm saying? So I spent money with my guy and, you know, smoothies on deck, you feel me?
I like it.
Yeah, man.
Health as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's go back to your music. So you've been making music. How many years have you been doing music?
Since 4 years old.
4 years old.
Prince is my mom's first cousin, so I definitely came up under a very musical stigma of greatness. You know, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis were like uncles, so just watching them, observing them, the whole flight time movement, producing for everyone from Janet Jackson to, you know, Alexander O'Neal to you name it. These were like, you know, national titans and icons. So just being in that constant world, it was always like, yeah, you doing a little something, but you ain't really doing nothing. Like, you ain't did nothing. And my journey, funny enough, I probably always had an opportunity to take a bigger platform musically, but I was concerned that my message would be inaccurate. And so I was like, yo, I gotta hold off until I know what I'm gonna say. I can't just be out there saying, hey, you know, bust a gun, pop a head, drop a body.
Yeah.
You know, like that can't be the thing, because I'm gonna have to pay the tab, you know? And so I'm trying to figure out how I can get onto like a pyramid scheme of righteousness. And so as I've gotten closer and closer into a spiritual wavelength that really I think has been transformative, maybe not in all of my actions, but sure in my ways of thinking and the calibration of my vibrationals, then it's like, yo, now we gotta turn up. So we dropped 57 records last year between April and like the first week of December, and only stopped because I left Israel, and that's where I've been recording. So definitely got more heat on the way at the right timing. Feel like 200-something thousand streams organically, which is, again, that's all blessings that I don't necessarily understand, but I'm grateful when I get messages from people like, yo, I was having this challenge and I found this song, or hey, I needed to learn this in Hebrew and I found your song. That for me is like, that's going platinum in heaven. I'm going platinum in heaven. I don't know what earth is gonna look like, but I'm like quadruple platinum in heaven, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna spend most of my time there by God's grace, so, you know, that's the move.
Yeah, now I've been watching your movement on YouTube, so kudos to you. And so talk about how that college party. So I saw that. Talk about how that even came into fruition. Someone saw your music and you.
Oh yeah. It's not even a college, it's a yeshiva. So it's like for gap year students that finished high school, they come to Israel to learn and study and grow more spiritually. And apparently one of my guys was somewhere in New York on Shabbat, and some kid was joking about or saying something, or he was even during Pesach maybe or something. It was talking about, you know, something. Oh man, you heard of L'Haim OG, and he's like, "What? That's my guy. Are you trying to be funny?" and then this whole connection, and they had made like a video doing something to the song, and then I went to the yeshiva. First time in my whole life I walked in a room and there's like, 400 kids screaming my name, know everything. I'm just like, I'm like, I don't know what they're clapping about. It can't be about me, and it's just a crazy journey. Like I think a couple weeks ago, I'm on this app called Say Mazel Tov. A girl paid $100 for me to send her cousin a happy birthday video. And I'm thinking like, you're paying me $100 to send a video? What are we supposed to do with the other $95 or something like that? Like, who am I? You know what I mean? But, obviously money that goes to a good cause, to some charitable organization and whatnot. But it's just kind of crazy to me how this journey has gone. None of that was what I set out for. For sure, it was not the case.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
What's up, Chief?
Hey, Doc, how are you?
Good.
Bless you all.
That's the Chief, man.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Cleanest dressed guy my whole life.
I like it. I like the top hat.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he is.
He got those in every color too, man. I almost wore one as a tribute to him, but I was like, man, I want him to think I'm trying to take his stuff. Man, you know what I'm saying?
It's funny. So with your music and your what's your next project look like?
Working on L'chaim season and Welcome to the Kiddush Club. One's supposed to be try to have features of other artists. The other is just a continued iteration of my journey, man. We're turning up different kind of food palette sonically, music-wise. Got a jazz situation I'm working on, you know what I'm saying, that's pretty exciting. Got another one that's more like kind of edgy, hip-hop-ish, grimy-ish type, you know what I'm saying? But all righteousness, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, this is sort of like kosher food. Kosher food, people think kosher food means a certain thing. Kosher food means the animal, the process, the cooking process, the choice of the ingredients was done in a certain way that first keeps in mind our responsibility to God and our commitment to God. So I might make something, and I can make something, but I'm gonna have to make it a certain way in honoring of God, because I'm not just this physical being, I'm a spiritual entity that has an outside casing, you know what I'm saying? And so in that, you can make Jamaican kosher food, Indian kosher food, whatever kosher food. It's not like one type of food. And so that's the same with the music. We're going to just kosher and hit them with the whole smorgasbord.
I like that. And your message behind your music.
Yeah, man, it's like Torah over everything, man. God's over everything. Hustle and you could get there. My little trademark is gotta get active, can't do nothing. Make the most of every moment, gotta do something. If effort affects net worth, then we're hustling, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just think people see the world as if they're in it. And I feel like, no, you're not in the world. The world just surrounded you as a demonstration, as a demo. You're the star character, you're the lead player. It's all here for you. Treat it like Fortnite. Build, baby. You want a wall here, put up a wall. You want stairs here, put up some stairs. Like, you could do it, go do it. Like, and you're co-creating with God. My one person like my grandmother, Dr. Willa Graham Battle, coming up as a kid, she said, you include God in your plans, you can make your plans bigger. You know what I mean? So I always took that as like, if you put God in your plans, you're just gonna have small plans, like, but you got God there, you're just gonna be like, if I say, hey, tomorrow you can go to lunch with Bill Gates, you're like, yo, let's go by McDonald's. You can be like, no, let's go to the fish spot in Murcielago. You know what I'm saying? Let's go over there. Let's get coffee in Poconos. You know what I mean? Shout out, we got Shabbaton coming up in the Poconos. I don't know when this will air or drop, but this weekend, shoot one of my first videos. You know what I'm saying? Definitely gonna be Poppington.
I like that. And I want to iterate faith, because for the younger generation, some are lost. I've been there, done that. What would you say to the younger generation on their road to finding God? Important
distinction too. I'm not a big faith guy. I'm a trust guy. I believe that there's certain set of terms that we use. Terms are important because you have to have the proper understanding to have a conversation and end up at the same place. So if we use terms without the proper understanding, we're for sure going to end up different places, which then is classified as an argument or a misunderstanding, etc. So why trust as opposed to faith? They say faith is believing eventually everything will work out. And trust is knowing that it already has.
Amen.
So faith in some ways is like, you're like waiting for this moment. I hope it's coming. And trust is like, this is the moment. Like we're in it right now. This is all going according to plan. And to get there, you have to try. You have to try. You have to have something happen and say, you know what, God, thank you so much this has happened. I know this is exactly what you wanted. And then walk away. Like, give it the chance to see what happens next. That's the only way you're gonna know. It's like say, hey, this food is good. You can smell it all you want until you chew and so like this sea moss. I could walk around with this for the next year, never open it, never. Sea moss, healthiest thing for you, good for you. They'd be like, man, it's full already. You just refill. Like, nope, I ain't tried it in years, but here it go. You know what I'm saying? Look good, taste good. Last I remember, and all that. It's like, nah, you gotta like my container should keep getting lower because I'm using. And so in business school, University of North Dakota, shout out to University of North Dakota, sue me. You know what I'm saying? They say in business school, marketing class we had talks about transformational leaders versus charismatic leaders. Charismatic leaders is like about them. You experience God through them. You experience greatness through them. Like, oh, that was so cool watching you do that. Transformational leaders empowered everyone else around them to be leaders. You might not never see none of them people again. They done went out and they're leading stuff. They're going and doing stuff. It's like, oh, that was a transformational leader. He empowered. So there's the one guy that gets $1,000. He's like, yo, y'all, come on me, dinner's on me. There's another guy that hands $100 to each of his guys. It's like, hey, what y'all trying to do? You know, there's a conversation that you never know who your real friends are till you both get money. Why? If you got money and I don't, where are we going to eat? Hey, whatever, man, I'm rolling with you. If I got money and you don't got money, yo, where are we going to eat? Hey, whatever works for you, Z. We both get money. It's like, I want Chinese, I want Italian. All right, well, I'll see you later today. Okay, cool, I'll see you later. And if that goes on each day, you figure out like, was we friends? Or was it more of an operational necessity, a seasonal interaction based upon common value system or a need and necessity at the time and an iteration of exchange? But, you know, friendship, man, that thing's scarce, baby.
Talk about that, because you just made a really pivotal thing where people have to decide if they're a friend or they're a foe, or they're just being used. And that's how I've been there, done that, and I've had to cut people off. So I love that you're bringing this up.
Yeah, so I don't even believe in that as much as it sounds like it, meaning like that's a real thing, right? But I still ultimately standard deviation back to lowest common denominator, God. Mm-hmm. So it's like, this person is not even here. Oh, he's my friend, he's my foe. He's nothing other than a demo bot in my world right now, because God's gonna hold me accountable. So I gotta still treat this demo bot, whether it feels like friend, foe, whichever, in a kind, in a respectful way, in a way that seems like I so better him. Imagine, so I tell this story. So you have the wealthiest, most famous guy in the world. He comes, he's like, yo, Denarius, I'm throwing a party. I throw a party every year with the 100 most famous, rich people in the world, but I'm double booked. This year I'm not gonna be able to be there. If I cancel, it'll ruin everything. So I need you to do me a favor. 2 things you should know. I need you to host a party for me. First thing you gotta know, none of the people are gonna know you. First of all, because you're not one of the 100 most rich or famous people, so they know they don't know you. You're a nobody, literally. Second thing is, all the staff, all the workers will know that you're me for the day. You've got all my power, all my authority. You're running the party. I need you to make sure everyone has a good time. You take the job. So it's all nice before the party. You're there, you're in the tuxedo with the wonty. The people's walking around, you're in this massively crazy house. Everything you like, you're on the gram. You can't publish the videos yet, but you're on the gram, you got videos. You're like, yo, this is crazy, I'm the man. Like, wait till my mom and them see this, like all my ex-girlfriends, like everybody, you know what I'm saying? And then people start coming in and you folks start ashing their cigars on your jacket. Here, hold this cup, I'm done. Treating you real disrespectfully, cutting you off, taking food off your plate, whatever. And you starting to like, yo man, what? Yo, man, I'll kick you out. The spouse you came with, your friend's spouse, anybody that looked like they were smiling with you, all y'all get kicked out. But then if you do that, what happened to what the boss asked you, right? You should make sure everyone has a good time. Now you have to ask yourself, if you can succeed, what's the reward? This is the wealthiest, most famous guy on the planet. You just did him a favor in front of the 99 most wealthiest and whatever friends. So in truth too, he just put you in the circle with the most famous and wealthiest people on the planet. You're the only guy that's not supposed to be there, except you're supposed to be there because the boss put you there. When you successfully succeed at making sure they all have a good time, then you bump back into the boss. He says, well, everyone had a great time. Thank you so much. If you fail, he's like, yo, what happened, yo? I asked you to do me this small favor. Now, for the wealthiest, most powerful guy in the world, you've just not only let him down, you've embarrassed him in front of his contemporaries. Who's that person? God. Who's the host? You. Who's the other 99 people? The rest of the world. Are you going to be able to host them properly and make sure they have a good time. The boss can't be there. He's asking you to step in and hold it down. If you can succeed, he'll give you whatever you want. That's the challenge every day in life. Who you are, the power you know you've been given, but none of the people know that. And they're like, not only are you not that Negro, you're not even a butler. Like, hey man, hey, take these crackers, man. Hey man, refill my drink. Like, man, not even speaking respectfully. You're like, I don't even know why these people are here. That wasn't your call. It's not your issue. It's not for you to worry about. You're supposed to make sure everybody have a good time. So can you humble yourself to not receive the affirmation from the people? But funny enough, you never knew these people anyway. These people never mattered to you anyway. You never hung out with these people. Why you care what they think? All the workers know you're the guy, although you're really not much different than them, even though you feel like it. Yeah, but I'm the number one worker. But does that conflict of identity cause you to default on your mission of making the boss pleased and happy? This is the everyday thing.
I love that. Self-identity. How does one find that? How does one discover their identity when they're around so many different demos, or people even influencing them to change their own viewpoints?
You gotta call the boss, man. You gotta call the boss. You gotta try, you gotta hit the boss like, hey, I'm trying to get in contact with you. He's gonna call you back. Be ready. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely calling back. Grab some books. Like they would say, when one aligns with destiny, the universe conspires to assist them. You know what I mean? I'll tell you another couple dope stories, and I get all this from my pops. My pops, one of the greatest orators I've ever known, always is preparing, always reading. He's always preparing for his purpose. I learned that in observing him. I'm for sure not there, so I'm not trying to act as if, I got it from him. I've observed it in him. I aspire to hopefully be able to, in some way, get a shaving of that level. Guy was walking through the forest, fox walking through the forest, sees a hedgehog grinding his tusk against a rock. Like, yo, what you doing, man? I'm grinding my tusk, man. Like, well, yeah, I can see that. What are you doing, man? I don't hear nobody coming or nothing like that. What are you grinding your tusk for? Hedgehog says, I'm saying not hedgehog, boar, wild boar. Says, wild boar says, well, because when it's time for danger, I ain't gonna have time to polish my tusks. Like, I'm doing it now. And every day, that's what I'm gonna be doing. So when danger pull up, it's like, hey, man, I've been waiting for you my whole life. You know what I'm saying? There's another funny story. I think that a lot of these are Aesop's fables. It says a turkey was walking through the woods and sees a bull. Turkey's like, hey, man, what's up, bull? He's like, not much, turkey. He's like, man, you see that tree? Bull's like, yeah, I see it. Turkey's like, man, I've been trying to get to the top my whole life. Bull's like, why don't you go up there? He's like, man, turkey's like, I don't got the core. I don't got the strength. Bull's like, man, if you eat some of my dung, it's got a lot of fiber, a lot of nutrients, you know what I mean? Get you some hyssop, get you some strength. Turkey's like, yeah? He's like, yeah, try a little bit. So the bull, drops a load. Turkey gobbles up a little nugget. Boop, 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 boop. He shoots up a layer of the trees. He's like, yo, that was crazy, son. That shit worked. You know what I'm saying? He comes back down. He's like, yo, let me get another one of them. He has another little nugget. Bloop, 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 bloop. Gets to the second level. He's like, yo, this is crazy. Bull's like, man, you almost there, cuz. Turkey like, yeah, man, let me slide back down here. Get him another nugget. Bloom, 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 bloom. Gets to the top. Like, yo, Turkey's like, yo, I made it. He's like, yo, Bull's like, let him know, son. You know what I'm saying? He's like, arr, arr. Turkey start doing this little, blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Then you just hear, gunshot. Turkey dropped down to the bottom. Farmer came by, scooped up the turkey, brought him in the crib, made dinner. What's the lesson in the story? It says that bull can get you to the top, but it's not gonna help you stay there. And if BS is how you got there, and get up there trying to make a bunch of noise and act like, hey, you see me? Somebody for sure sees you, and they'll be there momentarily. So it's about the journey of how one progresses. Last story, it said a guy was walking through the forest, sees a Amazon forest, very rare animals and insects. Sees a butterfly coming out of a cocoon. He's like, yo, never seen this before. Like, he sits down, he waits, gets his camera phone out, boom. 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes go by, 20 minutes go by. Butterfly ain't out yet, still struggling. He's like, oh man, come on, let me help this guy out, man. Gets the little scissors, he cuts the cocoon, out drops a caterfly. A big old belly floppy thing with some wings. And so the guy's sitting there waiting for it to, fly away. And it just crawls away. And he's like, what did he not know? So the transformation of a caterpillar crawling around, eating, he's loading up for the dark period. When he goes into that cocoon, he transforms, he grows differently in that darkness. But his blood flow is connected and tied to how he was moving through the world. So he grows wings, but that doesn't mean he can use them yet. The process and the fight and the struggle of him fighting to break out of the darkness with his wings is what transfers the blood flow that then gives him this slender little body and these big, strong, beautiful wings. So by that guy shortchanging the caterpillar's fight, he doomed him to crawl for the rest of his life. It's the fighting with your wings to fly. And right now, it's not even to fly, it's to get out the cocoon. But you gotta get out the cocoon to fly. And if you don't use your wings, when you ever gonna have them strong enough to fly? That's the life journey. Like, we wanna let me cut you up out of there, man, and get you situated. All right, you're gonna have a caterfly. But to transform, it's the toil, it's the struggle, it's the fight. So there was one piece of that in confirming that I learned on my journey. There was one of my first Gemara lessons. So you have the Torah, 5 books of Moses. You have the Mishnah, which is the oral version or the oral details of what Moses gave over the details, right? If I was gonna hand you a book, I'm here's 17 million pages. Goodness gracious, man, you can't give me some notes and some audio or something, you know what I'm saying? You want me to read 17 million pages? Right? So there's the audio piece of that. And then there's a conversation that wise people had on that, right? Torah, Mishnah, Gemara. One of my first Gemara lessons, they were saying how there were these righteous men, righteous Torah scholars, and they were having children that weren't righteous Torah scholars. And they're like, how's that possible? And that lesson said, because they didn't make the blessing before learning Torah. So part of the relationship with God in Judaism is with everything you do, before you do it, there's a blessing and maybe an after blessing. That's human nature. You brought me coffee. Oh man, thank you. Drink the coffee. Hey man, coffee was good. Thanks so much, right? That's a relationship thing. So one night I'm fighting a lot of temptation. And when I'm fighting temptation, I try to find righteousness. So I put on some audio lessons from, wise people. And one of them was from the Rosh Yeshiva, the guy who founded my yeshiva. And he's saying, people were saying that these righteous men were having children that weren't righteous because they didn't say this blessing. Is it's not true. Now, there's a blessing we say before we eat bread. Now, what happens if you eat bread?
You get nourished, you blow it up.
Yeah, you're more full, right? You keep eating bread, you're going to be full.
Yeah.
So he's saying the blessing we make on eating the bread isn't on being full. We're making a blessing that we're going to eat the bread. Now, we may end up full, but that's not what the blessing is. The blessing we make for wine. What happens if you drink wine?
You get tipsy.
You keep drinking wine.
You drunk.
But that's not what the blessing is. The blessing isn't on getting tipsy or being drunk. The blessing is on drinking some wine. He said the Birchas of Torah, the blessing on learning, isn't a blessing that you make saying you're going to learn so much or have memorized so much or mastered so much, but that you're going to put in the effort to learn in itself. That if you could just take a pill and know all of anything ever written, if that's what you want to do, okay, go take the pill. But there's no blessing in that. There's no blessing for that. But if you're saying, I'm going to show up every day and try and put forth effort to learn more about God, to be more righteous, to be a better conduit in this world for light and positivity, I might not succeed. I might fail. But that's not what God's expecting of me. He's expecting me to try. And if you're making a blessing or going after something without the right understanding or the right motives, it won't last. It'll be in vain. Which is why you see people chasing this or chasing that, and then it's gone. They don't got nothing to show for it. It doesn't continue. But those who set off on a path with the proper understanding of what their goal is. My goal is just to get the chance to put in the work. God decides the results. That's the people you see as greatness. Why is Kobe Bryant was still going to the gym before practice 4 a.m., this and that? He was already the best guy in the league. What's he still working so hard for? Because greatness isn't defined as the end result. Greatness is defined as the path you take to get there, which is why they just did not vote Kurt Schilling, Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds into the Baseball Hall of Fame on this round. Why? Oh, big scandal about performance-enhancing drugs. It's like, these guys were great. It's like, yeah, but they took the pill. Ken Griffey Jr., first ballot Hall of Famer. People are like, hey, he just showed up and worked every day. He didn't hit as many home runs. He didn't have as many whatever. But that's not what we judge by.
Character.
That boy put in the work. You know, which is a credit too to, there's, a guy I know, great hustler, you know what I'm saying, who I think definitely deserves some shout out, Keza Nubazor, you know what I'm saying, he's my brother. I first met him when I had a little crazy idea, and then he had a crazier idea, and his idea worked just as good as my idea, maybe better. And from that moment, you know what I'm saying, it's been a journey of really him, I think, thinking that he's getting a lot from me, but in truth, it's just been me learning a lot and getting a lot of inspiration from him. He's one of the coldest hustlers I've ever seen in my life, you know what I'm saying? And also is a great father and a great husband, you know what I'm saying? And I think he's a guy that doesn't do the shortcuts. He's a guy that's the more over time has just been committed to just putting in the work, you know what I'm saying? So definitely deserves a shout out to KZ, you know what I'm saying?
I agree with you.
Yeah.
So we're wrapping it up. And for the younger generation, how can people stay connected to you?
I mean, it's L'chaim OG on Instagram, L'chaim OG on the music platforms, LCHAIM space OG. You can put even the little top apostrophe, I think, if you get into it, but it'll come up. OG L'chaim OG on Twitter. Other than that, man, there's YouTube channels, I think, L'chaim OG. But I hope to be more reachable. I think L'chaimOG.com is even a website, but I hope to be more reachable in the trenches in the near future, you know what I'm saying? So if you need to reach me, the best thing I could do is say is call the boss. He definitely knows how to get in touch with me. He'll definitely make sure that we meet, you know what I'm saying?
I like that. And what would you say to the younger generation as they're wrapping up?
I mean, I would just say go boldly towards your dreams, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna die anyway, you know what I'm saying? So you might as well try to get your money's worth while you're there. I told myself life is like a restaurant. Order what you want, because the bill is coming. And when that bill comes, they're gonna want their money whether you liked your food or no, I should have got they'd be like, hey man, let us know if you need change. You know what I'm saying? And walk away. So, it's which is another great lesson. Let us know if you need change. If you didn't like something about whatever, you got to pay a price. And then you can get some change. That's the lesson, man. If you're gonna walk around with them bills anyway, man, try to get some change.
I like that. Again, guys, this is Denarius with Startup. We're with Z, musical legend, man of many words. You guys stay tuned, and we'll keep going as we build out this podcast.
CMOS on deck, baby.